Now that we finished our tall and short grass swatch card, I'm going to show you the same technique with bushes and shrubs. Just as a reminder, we are going to be using the same set from Art Impressions, but we're going to be using these two shrubbery stamps using the same technique as the tall and short grasses. In order to speed this up just a little bit for you, I went ahead and created my swatching card the same way I did for my grasses. I've gone ahead and labeled it, and I started out by stamping the first line of these particular stamps because it is the exact same process as we used with the grasses. But just for review, I will model this for you. This line is inking the stamp each time before I stamp it off to create this very dark image. The other side of the card will be inking the stamp once and then stamping it across the card multiple times so that it fades out. Now I will switch to the other foliage style and use the same technique. Remember, these are practice panels that end up being great swatch tools to add to your collection. So never worry about making them perfect. You can always practice again and stamp them another time. Now I'm going to use my round watercolor brush, get it wet, and then take a little bit of the water out to make it damp. In the grasses, I made strokes. For the bushes, what I really want to do is think about how little clumps of leaves are what I see if I look at a bush from a distance and squint down. I don't see individual leaves. Instead, I see these little clumps. So for me, the best technique is to put the brush more on its side and tap so that I have clumps. And I like this edge to be kind of lacy and broken because in a natural bush that I'm looking at, that's what it looks like to me. And even when I have used the stamp one color and ink up each time, notice that by using a little bit less water, a little drier brush, I can actually vary the darkness and lightness of that bush, even if it's one that I didn't stamp until it became lighter. There are times when I use both techniques, so I think it's important to know that one isn't right and one isn't wrong. They're just different. Now I'm going over here and doing this side. This bottle green is a fairly intense pigment or color, and so as I move toward the lighter side of this, I often want to clean my brush and make it just a little bit drier so that I can get that pigment to appear lighter. If my sunlight is overhead, then even in this lighter section, I might want these bottom areas to be slightly darker in value, darker color than they are at the top. Repeat the same technique for these down here on the bottom. And again, the amount of water that you use is individual preference. You might decide you want to see more of those little details, so you put a little less water in that area. This feels to me like it could become an evergreen bough, a garland. I didn't think about that until I started painting it. I left a few areas of white. I left a few areas where the stamped image really comes through, and then many other areas show that bloom where I've added more water. And on this side, again, if I want that to fade to a lighter value, become lighter, then I make sure that my brush is slightly drier, and because there's less pigment there from the stamp, it will begin to look a little lighter. So there I've completed my card, the second of the two cards. Now I have my tall and short grasses card. I have my bushes and shrubs card, which can be put into the packaging. And now I want to show you why this is important in the context of creating a small miniature painting or a card front. So here is a sample that I've done using the two different sizes of grasses. The bush shape that was more of the triangle. And then I added one more from that same set. I went ahead and added this vine for some just variety in the background. And I stamped in a couple of colors. So the new colors that I used in addition to the bottle green were the olive green from Marvy number 15. Those vines were inked in number 86 African Violet. I used number 75 Sky Blue for the water in the bird bath and the sky. And my go-to favorite for stamping a subject is this sepia marker from Marvy Le Plume. Notice that I used a variety of tall and short grasses. I used this stamp in dark and lighter multiple stampings after one inking in order to create that depth of foliage and feeling of things being closer, things being more in the distance. This little bird bath stamp is also from Art Impressions, and I will be teaching this entire card in a follow-up lesson. So thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this, I love to hear comments in the comment section below. And if you liked it and you would like to see more, then please click subscribe and you will get notification anytime I post a new video. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you next time.